Hey everybody, welcome back to Run and Gun. I'm JT and I'm here with the Nikon Z6 camera, and I wanted to do a review on this camera. I just wanted to use it for long enough to actually give you guys a valuable opinion and some valuable insights on this mirrorless camera body system. So I've been shooting on the Z6 almost exclusively for about 6 or 8 months now. I got this in early spring and I'm extremely familiar with the Z series. Nikon let me borrow a Z7 back almost exactly a year ago, so I think it's about time I do a review on a Z6. I love the Z7. It was fantastic. Those high resolution, I think they were 45 megapixel images were fantastic. I'll link down in the description. You can see my review on the Z7, but today we're gonna be talking about the Z6. I have it hooked up to the FTZ adapter because I have a ton of Nikon glass already, and this is the 14mm 2.8 prime, and I love this lens just for running and gunning, and it's fantastic for architecture, landscape, and doing some funky things with a super wide angle 14mm. So let's talk a little bit about the Z6. Basic tech specs. This is 24.5 megapixels, ISO up to about 51,000, I believe. 12 frames per second continuous shooting. And again, it's mirrorless, so I can do silent shooting, which is amazing if you're in a quiet location. Let's say you're shooting some sort of quiet event like a funeral or memorial or something, you just want to be a fly on the wall. That's why I absolutely love mirrorless. So as I said earlier, I shoot photo and video on the Z6. I've been using it quite a bit, especially in conjunction with my GH5, which I'm shooting on right now in 4K, and then I usually down res to 1080p for YouTube. But I've been doing the same with this for work projects. I've been shooting a lot of 4K awesomeness of satellites and radar system and all sorts of space related things that I'm doing for work right now, rocket launches, all that fun stuff. So the Z6 is fantastic for that. The video quality is absolutely superb and the photo quality is fantastic. The low light performance on this is pretty darn great. I think it's actually a little bit better than my GH5, and the video just looks fantastic. And then when I do time lapses with this, it just looks awesome. I did time lapses in Times Square, New York. Turned out really, really cool. And focusing in low light has really improved since I've messed with the D5. I had a lot of low light focusing issues with that. I had some focusing issues with the D850 as well, and quite a bit with the D800 and the D810, and especially with the D610. So when it comes to comparing camera bodies and you're looking for a good professional camera that has a nice small form factor, if I took off the FTZ adapter and this lens, I could basically fit this guy right in my pocket. So like I said, way smaller than the D5, big chunky guy, and the D850 is just a little bit smaller, and the D850 is probably about this thick, and the Z6, you can see how skinny this camera body is. It's so thin because I don't have to worry about a mirror flapping up and down, and the small form factor is great. And we're talking about form. It also feels like a Nikon, which is absolutely awesome. That's what I love. I love this little thumb grip. I talked about that when I did my review on the Z7. It's just something that's there that I really appreciate, especially now that the form factor is getting a little bit smaller. And on the bottom, my pinky hangs off the bottom just a little bit. If you can see that, it's kind of hard to get my whole hand around here. So this gives me a little bit of extra purchase on this camera and a little bit of extra hand to camera grip there. And I really appreciate something as small as this thumb grip. And on the opposite side here, it also kind of swings up this way, makes it nice and easy for me to be able to pop out my XQD card and close it, but it's not easy enough that I'm gonna accidentally do it and accidentally pop out my XQD card or open the slot while I'm shooting. But it's nice and secure, but it's easy to get to when I need to. Now, some people say one of the cons of the Z6 and the Z7 is having only one card slot. I've never had a problem with that. My first professional DSLR was the 5D Mark II, which I have sitting on a shelf over there, and it only had one CF slot, and I never had a single problem shooting on that guy since I bought that in 2009. So I have not had a single issue using a single card since 2009. There may be some wedding photographers or other event photographers that have bought some corrupt cards or something like that, but personally, I can't say I've ever had an issue shooting on only one slot. So for me personally, it's not really that big of a con. Right now I have a 128 Sony XQD card. I've had great success with those over the years. I'll link them down in the description. Haven't had any issues with those cards going bad, going corrupt, or corrupting any of my files, so they seem pretty great. Another thing about this that I absolutely love is this articulating screen. This is awesome. If I want to lay on the ground and shoot, I have my screen here. If I want to Hail Mary and hold this guy above my head, I can tilt my screen down like that. There's kind of a limit to what you can do. I can only tilt the screen down about this far, and I can only tilt it up about this far, which is useful, but it's only so useful because I wish I could take my screen and flip it out so I can work in selfie mode like this if I wanted to film a vlog like this. And because of that screen limitation, that's why I'm sticking with the GH5 when it comes to YouTube and vlogging and things like that. I love that flip out screen that I can watch right here as I'm filming. And this I'm keeping dedicated to more production work. Again, my space related work in the Air Force. That's why I use this guy for the most part. And I pair it up, and it works pretty well pairing it up with the D850 and the D5 4K footage, which I actually like this a lot better, which is kind of crazy. This is a much cheaper camera than the D850 and a much cheaper camera than the Nikon D5, but the video quality out of this is superb, and the photo quality out of this I would put right up against the D5 and right up against the D850. It is fantastic. I think this was the 2019 Camera of the Year. I'm not sure who votes on that, but I would absolutely consider this the Run and Gun 2019 Camera of the Year, and we'll see what kind of competitors are coming out in 2020. I know Nikon is working on the Z50, which is going to be a crop sensor. This is a full frame, which also is one thing that I love over the GH5 if I'm doing that comparison. I love the full frame sensor. It just lets in so much light. Now, one of the other few things that is a con, but I'm kind of doing this to myself because I don't want to invest in new glass yet, is this FTZ adapter adds about an extra inch and almost, I guess you could say, almost the width if you were shooting on a thick DSLR, this little bit right here, but it doesn't add that much weight to it. So if I want to mount my F-mount glass, which I have a ton of that I've already invested in, to the Z-mount body, I have to go through the FTZ adapter. So it does add that little bit of length. The nice thing is they have a 1/4 screw right on the bottom of the FTZ adapter, so I don't have to plug it into the camera body and have my mount so far back when I have, say, a 70-200 lens or an 80-400 that's going to be much longer, and putting all that weight on the 1/4 on the camera body. I'd much rather, you know, move the center of gravity up a little bit and my mounting spot up a little bit. Overall, I absolutely love the Z6. There's just so much I can do with it. One of the downsides of, say, a D810 or the D750, which I spent 2 years ago shooting with, was the photos were phenomenal, but the video kind of sucked a lot. And then I love the GH5 because the video is fantastic, but the photo quality is okay. It's not the best, but the Z6 is kind of like the everything package. It has amazing photo and amazing video. One of the only things about the video I wish I had was the Nikon, I believe, N-Log. I wish I didn't have to go through an external recorder to do that. I haven't been able to mess with that because I don't have a 4K external recorder yet. That's going to be one of my next purchases. And I wish I had 4K 60p, 60 frames per second. That would be phenomenal. Right now, I'm limited to 4K 24 and 4K 30. I believe there's 1080 60, but I love having that extra resolution, or being able to down res to 1080 if I want to release and master in 1080 for video production. But all in all, I think the pros of this camera body definitely outweigh the 2 or 3 cons that I have, but there's no perfect camera body. I think this guy comes really close to being the perfect tool for the job that I use and the jobs that I do. And I think this is kind of the perfect camera body for me right now because, again, there's nothing that's perfect. Cameras are just tools to get certain jobs done, and there's going to be some better tools at some jobs than others. Just like you wouldn't take a screwdriver to a nail and you wouldn't take a hammer to a screw. Two different tools for two different jobs, and that doesn't mean one is better or worse than the other. It just means they have their own dedicated specialties and jobs. But again, Z6, fantastic all-around camera, and I think it checks a lot of those boxes. So I hope you enjoyed this review. If you're looking to buy the Z6 and the FTZ adapter, take a look at my affiliate link in the bottom. I'd appreciate if you buy through there. I get a very, very small commission from Amazon. It doesn't add anything to your price. It's free to you. I just get a couple pennies for sharing the links. So that's all for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you have the chance to check out the Z6 and shoot with it if you ever get the opportunity. I absolutely love it and will continue shooting on it for the foreseeable future. And that's all for this video. I'll see you guys next weekend. Until then, get out and go shoot.